16 minutes that I have, Mr. Speaker, after we go to member statements to continue to litigate this argument because it is important. I look forward to talking about the ways in which the government is addressing the concerns the opposition is raising and how we are going to be having a process to get money back for taxpayers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Indeed, I'm sorry to interrupt, and the member will have 16 minutes after the vote to continue his speech. Statements by members. Déclaration de député. L'honorable député.
The honourable member for Rosemont-la-Petite-Patrie. Since time immemorial, the arts have been an integral part of human life. From cave art in Lascaux through music, dance, and poetry, all the way to cinema, art has marked all peoples at all times. Art contributes to the beauty of the world. It inspires, stirs emotions, and gives meaning to our lives. To be awestruck by a work of art is an essential act. It's also the ability to project yourself into another person's life in literature. It's our universal dimension, because creation is a human act, and today that very act is threatened. On June 9th, representatives of over 25,000 artists from Quebec published their manifesto in defense of authentic creation, because every day artificial intelligence steals works of art without consent or remuneration. AI-generated content must be identified, and the government must protect creators and copyrights. Culture is the human condition.
Quinty.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize a great company in my riding, Bay of Quinte, that is celebrating a major milestone this month. Located in Wapoose, the County Cider Company is now 30 years in business this June as Ontario's longest-running craft cider company. County Cider first started fermenting cider for the public back in 1995. Founded by Grant Howes, known as the grandfather of Ontario cider, who passed in 2017, he created an institution that now attracts thousands of tourists each season. County Cider is now helmed by Grant's partner, Jennifer Dean, who continues this legacy of helping others in the industry and promoting the county at large. This Saturday, June 14th, they are hosting an anniversary party at their estate. All are welcome. For its importance to Prince Edward County and the Ontario craft cider industry as a whole, I want to congratulate County Cider on this incredible accomplishment. Thank you, Mr.
The honourable member for Provencher.
Mr. Speaker, as Canadians prepare to celebrate Canada Day, we are reminded of the foundations upon which our country was built. When the Fathers of Confederation founded this country in 1867, they recognized that Canada's strength would rest not only on law and government, but on the recognition of God's authority. There are 25 verses from the Bible in the architecture of Parliament, like Psalm 72, which says, "He shall have dominion from sea to sea." From these stone walls, the words taken from God's word remind us that freedom doesn't come from bureaucrats, global bodies, or unelected elites. It comes from hard work, personal responsibility, and recognition of a higher authority. These words teach us that good government needs vision, justice, and accountability to the people and to God. As Canada Day approaches, let us give thanks to God for the blessings of freedom, peace, and abundance, and recommit ourselves to be faithful to the biblical principles that have guided our nation since its birth. God keep our land glorious and free.
The honourable member for Dartmouth-Cole Harbour.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to pay tribute to Dartmouth-Cole Harbour's Anne Ring, an extraordinary educator, athlete, and community leader whose warmth and spirit touched all who knew her. Anne led with heart in everything that she did, from hatching chicks in her classroom for the students to empowering young minds as a beloved principal. She brought joy and creativity to learning and believed deeply in the potential of every child. A national record-holding swimmer, ringette player, paddler, coach, and Girl Guide leader. Anne's energy was boundless. She skydived, scuba dived, rode motorcycles, and lived the life fully and fearlessly. I had the pleasure of getting to know Anne better through her passionate work to preserve and modernize the Banook Canoe Club. She was kind, smart, and deeply committed to leaving this legacy for future generations on the lakes she loved. Anne Ring led a remarkable life. My thoughts are with her, her husband, and all those who knew her and loved her. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Algonquin, Renfrew, Pembroke.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to honour MPP John Yakubuski, recently retired for Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke. Following in his father, Paul Yakubuski's footsteps, John was first elected in 2003. His 22 years of service left an indelible mark. I heard him called Paul as often as John. He always took that as a compliment, having lived up to his father's standards. John was the singing MP, not just O Canada on solemn occasions, but crooning a repertoire of Mac Beatty. As Minister of Natural Resources, John was a steadfast leader during Ottawa Valley crises, swiftly mobilizing aid to combat spring floods and marshalling firefighters against summer wildfires. His compassion shone through in initiatives like his 2010 album, Taking Care, raising funds for long-term care homes. John's legacy is one of service, song, and strength. We salute the remarkable contributions he made to the Ottawa Valley.
The honourable member for Eglinton Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Monday, I had the opportunity to visit the Nova exhibition in my riding of Eglinton Lawrence for the second time, but it was my first visit alongside the Member of Parliament for Toronto St. Paul's and the Prime Minister. The exhibition commemorates the brutal massacres carried out by Hamas at the Nova Music Festival on October 7th, 2023, which tragically claimed the lives of 1,200 Israelis, including 8 Canadians, took over 251 men, women, and children hostage. The exhibition is deeply moving as it retraces the harrowing events of October 7th and highlights the resilience of those who attended the festival. Sadly, it requires heightened security, a stark reminder of the continued threats faced by the Jewish community. Just this week, the National Holocaust Monument was vandalized right here in Ottawa. We must stand united against the global rise of anti-Semitism. This exhibition stands as a timely and powerful call to confront anti-Semitism. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Yorkton Melville.
Speaker, 1 year ago today, the Standing Committee on Veterans Affairs released a landmark report. Invisible No More, the experience of Canadian women veterans was the first of its kind, finally putting on record their unique and often painful stories. From poor equipment, more likely to injure than protect, to unimaginable sexual trauma, more than 50 women showed their immense courage in sharing with the committee the realities of their service. A tireless advocate for women veterans, Dr. Karen Breck, rightly said, "I hope a day like this isn't just about appreciation for our service. I hope it becomes a day when women veterans engage with their communities and their parliamentarians to work together towards making things better for the next generation of women who wish to serve their country." Speaker, I'm honoured and humbled to stand in the presence of the incredible veterans joining us today in recognition of Women's Veterans Appreciation Day. This is not a day for meaningless platitudes, but measurable action. It's my hope that this report paves the way for countless more women to serve Canada with pride and dignity.
The honourable member for South Shore St. Margaret's.
Today with my first member statement, I do so with deep gratitude to the fine people of South Shore St. Margaret's. Thank you. For placing their trust in me in this historic election. I want to thank my partner Ken, my daughter, the thousands of students that I taught for over 17 years in my career as an educator, and my family and friends for being my rock. I also want to thank the incredible volunteers who gave their time, their energy, and knowledge in this effort. We concluded with 87 events in a 37-day election. South Shore St. Margaret's, we are the heart of Canada's ocean playground, from Barrington to Tantallon, Caledonia to Lunenburg. Our region is strong, resilient, and full of heart. And together now in this House, let's invest and build in a future guided by compassion, opportunity, partnerships, and strength, equally in rural Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Calgary Signal Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Liberal government has spent 10 years strangling Canada's energy sector with red tape and anti-energy law and policy. The world came to us to ask for our help in supporting their energy security, and the Liberal Prime Minister said no, there was no business case. The fact is, Mr. Speaker, pipelines and infrastructure won't be built because of 4 Liberal laws: C-69, the No New Pipelines Act; C-48, the West Coast shipping ban; the job-killing oil and gas production cap; and the industrial carbon tax. Canada does not need the Liberal government to build pipelines. Canada needs the Liberal government to get out of the way so that our private sector can build our infrastructure and, in fact, make Canada an energy superpower. Canadians call on the Liberal government to repeal their anti-energy laws and not just add more red tape to the pile. Let's stop the
The Honourable Member for Montcalm. Mr. Speaker, Mascouche is celebrating its 275th anniversary. This city, whose original Algonquin name means bear cub, is one of the oldest communities in Quebec. Known for its history and architecture, it's a city that has transcended history. From one century to the next, it has constantly reinvented itself. It stands out for its unique balance between nature and urban life. This duality gives it a certain je ne sais quoi, and it creates a unique atmosphere. And I know what I'm talking about, Mr. Speaker. I've lived there for 35 years. When I think of Mascouche, I think of the moor gardens, the horse trails, the walking trails of the seigneurial estate, the wonderful farmland, the chez nous du communautaire, the grand tribaux, the festivals, the theater, chapeau, frisson, and many family celebrations that make Mascouche the town for young families. To the people of Mascouche, happy 275th.
The Honourable Member for Etobicoke Centre.
Mr. Speaker, June 13th marks the second annual National Long-Term Care Day in Canada. And whether it's in Etobicoke Centre or across Canada, long-term care plays a vital role in the health and the quality of care of Canadians. In fact, over 200,000 Canadians currently reside in long-term care across Canada. Today is important for a number of reasons. First of all, to remember the importance of long-term care. Secondly, to thank the volunteers, the staff, the family members who give care to seniors in our long-term care homes. But it's also a day when we can redouble our efforts to improve the quality of care of long-term care across Canada. Many seniors receive very good care, but there are still too many seniors in long-term care who don't receive the quality of care that they deserve. That's why I'm proud, along with a number of caucus colleagues, to have advocated a number of years ago for the federal government to establish national standards for long-term care. And the federal government, did that. Now we need the provinces to adopt those standards if we're going to make a difference for seniors in long-term care. So I hope that today we take this opportunity to advocate with provincial governments across Canada that they adopt national standards so seniors get the quality of care that they deserve. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Richmond, Arthabaska. Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General's report is damning. GC Strategies got $64 million from the Liberal government, in many cases without any proof that any work was actually done. GC Strategies is a two-person company. They got $64 million since the Liberals took office. The original estimate for the ArriveCAN app was $80,000. The final cost was $64 million. Not double, not triple, not 4 times, 800 times the estimated cost. In any private company, all employees along the chain of command up to the highest level would be fired. But guess what? Here, the ministers got promoted. Today, the Conservatives are tabling a motion calling for Canadians to get their money back and for GC Strategies to be banned for life. I hope the vote's unanimous.
Sackville, Bedford, Preston.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to celebrate 2 local organizations in Sackville, Bedford, Preston that were recently selected for 2025 Field of Dreams grants through the Jays Care Foundation. Sackville Minor Baseball will receive funding from the Toronto Blue Jays official charity to refurbish Les Mayo Field in Lower Sackville, while the LWF Hardball Association will see upgrades to George P. Vanier Field in Waverley. These upgrades are part of a national push to revamp local ball fields and give more kids a chance to play in safe, welcoming spaces. Sport gives young people more than just exercise. It teaches teamwork and discipline. It helps kids find their footing, build friendships, and feel like they belong on and off the field. Summer is coming, Mr. Speaker, and with it, the boys and girls of summer will soon be playing the great game of baseball on improved fields, thanks to the Jays Care Foundation. Good luck to all players and coaches, and have a wonderful season. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Battleford, Lloydminster, Meadow Lake.
Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General's damning ArriveCAN audit confirms that this Liberal government's failed to protect taxpayers' money. An app that was supposed to cost $80,000 ballooned to at least $60,000. million. And due to the poor record keeping, the true total may never be known. The Liberals handed GC Strategies contracts despite it being under RCMP investigation and lacking proper security clearances. They didn't verify qualifications, they didn't verify market rates, and in many cases didn't even confirm that the work was done. That's not just incompetence, it's negligence. And the Trudeau ministers responsible, they got promoted. GC Strategies gets to keep the cash while Canadians are struggling to make ends meet. Accepting the Auditor General's findings is simply not enough. The Liberals must take action, recover the wasted funds, and repay Canadian taxpayers.
L'honorable député de... The Honourable Member for Saint-Léonard, Saint-Michel.
Speaker, as an Italian Canadian and Member of Parliament representing the riding of Saint-Léonard, Saint-Michel, I am honoured to rise in recognition of the Italian Heritage Month. Held in June, Canadians have the opportunity to celebrate the vibrant culture, customs and traditions, as well as the invaluable contributions of Italian communities across Canada.
My Italian heritage has deeply shaped who I am today. It's an honor that I carry with pride, but humbly.
To fashion, from science and technology to the lifestyle of la dolce vita, the influence of Italian Canadians is woven into the fabric of our society. Throughout this month, Canadians are invited to discover and commemorate the Italian legacy and recognize the ongoing contributions of new generations who continue to shape our country with passion, dedication, and pride. Tanti auguri per il mese del patrimonio italiano.
The Honourable Member for Medicine Hat, Cardston.
Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General just released a scathing audit on Arrive scam contractor GC Strategies. Last year, the government awarded 106 contracts to GC, worth a total of $92 million, with $64 million already paid out. 50% of these contracts did not enforce security requirements. Much of the work performed was not monitored. Many contractors did not have the experience or qualifications needed. Procurement policies were not followed, and there was no demonstration of value for money, nor that deliverables were actually received. But yet, unbelievably, they kept authorizing payment. Every time there is a Liberal corruption scandal, it seems that the ministers responsible get promoted and the taxpayer gets the bill. Conservatives are calling on the government to get taxpayers their money back within 100 days and oppose a lifetime contracting ban on GC Strategies. Canadians are watching to see if this government will actually support them and getting their money back, Mr. Speaker.
All right. The Honourable Member for Ottawa West Nepean.
Mr. Speaker, throughout history, women have stepped up to serve our country in the Canadian Armed Forces. From the Wrens in World War II to the Persian Gulf War, where women first served in combat roles, to today with a female Chief of Defence Staff. Women have come a long way, but it was not always easy. For the women veterans who still suffer today from health issues, military sexual trauma, and other harms that were caused not by our adversaries, but by a military culture that didn't recognize that you can't have a fully capable fighting force without full inclusion. We owe it to them to do better. 1 year ago today, the Veterans Affairs Committee tabled a seminal report called Invisible No More. Today, some of the brave women who testified are visiting Parliament to ask that all the recommendations be fully implemented and that June 12th be Women Veteran Appreciation Day. To them and all service women, we thank them and we see them. Thank you.
Oral questions, questions orales.
Questions orales. Let's go.
The Honourable Member for Haldimand Norfolk.
Speaker, it's a new Parliament
but we're dealing with the same old Liberal scandals. The Auditor General has released a report against the Liberal government on the multi-million-dollar ArriveCan debacle. The Liberals gave $64 million to GC Strategies, a two-person IT firm that did no actual work and is currently under RCMP investigation. Wow. Today, this House is considering our Conservative motion to get Canadians their money back within 100 days. Will the Liberals vote to give back the $64 million to Canadians? Yes?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, we will address that question in a moment, but I am devastated to learn of the Air India crash that occurred earlier this morning. The flight was carrying 242 people, one of whom was Canadian. We are in touch with our international partners, and I have been speaking with Canadians this morning. I am sure that all members of this House will join in extending our collective condolences to the families of those who have lost loved ones this morning. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Haldimand Norfolk.
Mr. Speaker, we also extend condolences to the families. Mr. Speaker, these Liberals should not be dodging accountability. They want to hide their scandals from Canadians, but the Auditor General report is very, very clear. This Liberal government ignored the rules and allowed insiders to profit to the tune of $64 million. Wow. The Liberals have shown a complete disdain for hardworking Canadians by promoting the very same ministers who engaged in the cronyism and corruption. Why should wasteful Liberal politicians get promoted while Canadian taxpayers get a $64 million bill?
The Honourable Minister for Government Transformation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'd just like to note that we've implemented the measures recommended by the Auditor General in previous reports as well as internal audits. We have revoked the security clearance of GC Strategies. We have terminated all contracts with GC Strategies. We've barred GC Strategies from future contracts with the Government of Canada. We've taken legal action against GC Strategies. We've referred cases to the RCMP because, Mr. Speaker, we will never tolerate misconduct from our suppliers or their subcontractors. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies.
The Auditor General released a scathing audit this week on the top Arrive scam contractor, GC Strategies. This two-person company under RCMP investigation received a jaw-dropping $64 million from these Liberals. And the old ministers responsible for this all got promoted by this Prime Minister and are sitting as ministers right there, right now. Wow. Canadians are incensed by these same old Liberal ministers continuing in their corrupt ways. A simple question for their Prime Minister: when are Canadians going to get their money back?
The Honourable Minister for Government Transformation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We will always protect the integrity of our procurement process, which is why we've implemented recommendations from the Auditor General from past reports, such as increased transparency, strengthening oversight, clarifying the roles, the responsibilities across departments. We will always hold bad actors to account, which is why, Mr. Speaker, we've taken legal actions against GC Strategies. We've referred cases to the RCMP. We will always protect the integrity of our procurement process.
The Honourable Member for Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies.
That answer doesn't cut it for Canadians struggling to pay their bills in record numbers. These old Liberals have turned a ride scam into a masterclass in rewarding failure and corruption. The old ministers responsible for this scam are the same old ministers sitting over there as cabinet ministers right now. These same old ministers are ignoring the rules, allowing their insiders to get rich with taxpayers' hard-earned money. Why do corrupt Liberal ministers keep getting promoted and Canadians keep getting the bill?
That's a good question. The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me be absolutely clear. We will never tolerate misconduct from our suppliers or their subcontractors, which is why we've taken legal action against GC Strategies. We've referred cases to the RCMP. We've barred them from contracting with the Canadian government. We've revoked their security clearance, Mr. Speaker. This is the mandate we've been elected on to make sure that we have the best-in-class procurement system in this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Bellechasse, Les Etchemins-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General has confirmed what Conservatives feared. The Liberal government paid over $60 million for a project that should have cost just $80,000. And what's the result? Waste and incompetence. And yet no minister lost their job. And what's worse, they got a reward in being promoted in cabinet. Will the Prime Minister do the honourable thing and vote in favour of our motion to give this money back to Canadian taxpayers? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We will always protect the integrity of our procurement system. That's why we are implementing the recommendations made by the Auditor General in her previous report. That's why, Mr. Speaker, we have referred cases to the RCMP. We've taken legal action against GC Strategies. We've taken away their security clearance. We have terminated all contracts with GC Strategies, and they're barred from contracting with the Government of Canada for the next 7 years. Why? Because we will never tolerate misconduct from our suppliers or their contractors. The Honourable Member for Bellechasse, Les Etchemins-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General's report is scathing. Contracts were given without any competition, without any oversight, and without any justification. And while Canadians are getting poorer, the Liberals are making certain companies richer, and they're promoting the ministers responsible for this fiasco. Can the Prime Minister explain why, instead of requiring accountability, he's rewarding those who allowed this wasting of public funds? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to be crystal clear. We will never accept any misconduct from our suppliers or their contractors. We will always hold them responsible, and that's why, Mr. Speaker, we've terminated all contracts with GC Strategies over a year ago. We took away their security clearance. We will prevent them from contracting with the Government of Canada for the next 7 years. And, Mr. Speaker, we've also taken legal action against GC Strategies. We've referred cases to the RCMP. Why? Because we will always protect the integrity of our procurement system. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister will be moving closure on C5. The House has been sitting just for 3 weeks, and already he wants to steamroll a bill through the House. And not just any bill. C5 would give the Prime Minister the power to govern by decree when it comes to fossil fuel projects. Bill C5 completely guts environmental assessments. Bill C5 threatens Quebec's powers and the rights of Indigenous peoples. It makes no sense to impose this bill without debate, without committee study, and without hearing from witnesses. Will the Prime Minister let Parliament do its job? The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons. Mr. Speaker, Canadians and Quebecers spoke loud and clear of the necessity of transforming our economy. Yes, in part because of the trade war, which was provoked illegally by our friends, our neighbours to the south. And we are here to pivot towards a modern economy to help growth in this country, to give good jobs to Quebecers, good jobs to Canadians across the country. So, Mr. Speaker, this bill is necessary and it will move forward. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is going to need to leave the banker behind. He's going to need to learn how to act like a Democrat. C5 raises major debates about the environment and Quebec's sovereignty over its own territory. If there's any bill that just needs to be studied thoroughly, it's this one. The Prime Minister has no right to impose C5 under closure when the bill gives him exceptional powers, unlike anything that we've seen before. Is that the Prime Minister's intention, to bypass Parliament and govern by decree like Donald Trump? The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons. Mr. Speaker, Quebecers elected 44 Liberal members. That's the highest number of Liberal members from Quebec since 1980. They all ran under a Liberal platform that on page 1 spoke about the necessity of acting quickly to accelerate growth in this country, to break down barriers between provinces and create one Canadian economy. We are acting in a democratic way, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, the 44 Liberals from Quebec all voted yesterday to steal $814 million from Quebecers. The Liberals from Quebec voted to make Quebecers pay for election gifts for Canadians. The Liberals from Quebec voted against the unanimous request of the National Assembly of Quebec to reimburse Quebecers. The Liberals elected by Quebecers, who were afraid that the Conservatives would take us back to the Stone Age, abolished the carbon tax, and then they rewarded Canadians with our money. Mr. Speaker, aren't they ashamed of working against their own constituents? The Honourable Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to remind my colleague with respect that we still have a carbon price in Canada for big polluters, for major emitters, and that reduces 3 times the number of emissions as the consumer carbon price. It's a strong carbon pricing system, and the federal price per ton is double the price in Quebec, $59 in Quebec. It's $59 in Quebec and $85 for Canada. We will continue to build a strong economy for Canada while protecting the environment.
Speaker, Liberal consultants are getting millions in contracts without the required security clearances or experience. Worse, they don't even have to do any work. The Auditor General found evidence that nearly half of government contracts were paid but not actually completed. While Liberal insiders get rich, Canadian families struggle to pay for food. In true Liberal fashion, of course, the ministers responsible have been promoted by this Prime Minister. So when will this government support today's Conservative motion to ensure that Canadians get their money back?
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the Auditor General for her report. We've already acted on previous recommendations she's put forward. We've taken legal action against GC Strategies. We've referred cases to the RCMP because we will never tolerate bad behavior from our suppliers or their contractors. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Haliburton-Kawartha Lakes.
Speaker, it's clear the Prime Minister has the backs of Liberal insiders and backroom cronies, not hard-working Canadians. It's business as usual for this Prime Minister, who has no plans to cut the gravy train to Liberal consultants, which have no intention to actually complete work. While the RCMP investigate fraud on Canadians, those ministers responsible, they get a pat on the back and they get promoted. Will the Prime Minister today impose a lifetime ban on the founders of GC Strategies and all aligned entities and individuals, and of course, get Canadians their money back?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I've highlighted in previous answers, we will always protect the integrity of our procurement process, which is why we've put in place the Office of Supplier Integrity, which has banned GC Strategies for 7 years. We've revoked their security clearance. We've taken legal actions against GC Strategies. We've referred cases to the RCMP because we'll never tolerate bad actions from suppliers or their contractors. But when he talks about having the backs of Canadians, Mr. Speaker, they have an opportunity to support a tax cut for 22 million Canadians right after question period. Hopefully they'll do it for a change. Thank you.
Member for Newtecumseh, Gwillimbury.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberal government ignored procurement rules, accountability, and basic common sense to funnel sweetheart contracts to their friends at GC Strategies, the ones who were behind ArriveCan. They handed out an eye-watering $64 million in taxpayer money to these Liberal insiders with no evidence that any work was actually completed. Will the Liberals take responsibility, show respect to Canadian taxpayers, and get the money back?
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation.
Mr. Speaker, I think I've made it abundantly clear in previous answers that we will always protect the integrity of our procurement process, which is why we've taken legal actions against GC Strategies. We've referred cases to the RCMP. And, Mr. Speaker, we will always hold bad actors to account. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Newtecumseh, Gwillimbury.
Mr. Speaker, that answer wouldn't take the scum off rice pudding. The report from the Auditor General was clear. No work was done. The only thing delivered was a check to Liberal insiders. Despite an RCMP investigation and 64 million wasted, the cabinet ministers responsible weren't fired, they were promoted. New titles, bigger offices, all courtesy of this Prime Minister. Talk about failing upwards.
Why is it that under this Liberal government, failure is rewarded and Canadian taxpayers get stuck with the bill?
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And as I've noted before, we will always defend the integrity of our procurement process. We will never tolerate any form of misconduct from our suppliers or their contractors, which is why we've revoked GC Strategy's security clearance. We've terminated all contracts more than a year ago. Now the Office of Supplier Integrity has barred them from contracting with the Canadian government. We've referred cases to the RCMP. We've taken legal actions. Why, Mr. Speaker? Because we will always hold bad actors responsible. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Quebec Mactaquac.
What a complete and totally comprehensive non-answer that was. Earlier this week, the Auditor General released their scathing audit stating that the GC Strategies was paid $64 million for the ArriveCan app with little to no evidence of any work having been completed. The Auditor General made note that this is just one example of a likely widespread issue. Mr. Speaker, there may be a new Prime Minister, but it's the same old Liberal government. Will the Prime Minister stand up today, vote for our Conservative motion to return this money to hard-working Canadian taxpayers, yes or no?
Yeah. The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank the Auditor General for her work and note that we've acted on all the recommendations that she's put forward in the past, but we didn't stop there. We ended all contracts with GC Strategies over a year ago. We've taken away their security clearance. We've taken legal action against GC Strategies. We've referred cases to the RCMP. Why? Well, it's simple, because we will always defend the integrity of our procurement system, and we will always hold bad actors and their contractors accountable. The Honourable Member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General published in her report on Tuesday that the Liberal government did not respect the rules concerning contracts given to GC Strategies. $64 million were given to this company, made up of just 2 people. And what's more, there's no proof that any work was done. The Conservatives have presented a motion this morning which would prevent this government from getting government contracts for life. Will the Liberal government vote with us and pay back Canadians? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and the member will be happy to know that the Office of Supplier Integrity that we put in place took a decision last week to prevent GC Strategies from contracting with the Government of Canada. But over a year ago, we ended all contracts with GC Strategies. We took legal action against the company. We referred cases to the RCMP. And why, Mr. Speaker? Because we will never tolerate misconduct from our suppliers or their contractors. The Honourable Member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, we're not saying they should be terminated for 7 years. We're saying they should be barred for life. It's just scandal after scandal from this Liberal government. The Liberals ignore the rules, they let their friends get rich, and it's taxpayers in Beauce and across Canada who are paying the price. The Prime Minister had the opportunity to change things by replacing the ministers responsible for this. But no, what did he do? He promoted them. Why, with the Liberals, are politicians always rewarded, and why is it Canadians who have to pay the bill?
Honourable Ministre.
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We will always defend the integrity of our procurement system, and that's why, Mr. Speaker, over a year ago we ended all contracts with GC Strategies. We took away their security clearance. We've implemented the Auditor General's recommendations from her previous reports to ensure that bad actors are held responsible. We've referred cases to the RCMP concerning this company. We've taken legal action against GC Strategies. And, Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we will always hold accountable bad actors. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Lac-Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, what do a foreign sponsor of the assassination of a Canadian on Canadian soil, a tyrant who ordered the dismemberment of a journalist in a Turkish consulate, and a tortuous leader who silences all forms of opposition have in common? I'll give you a hint, Mr. Speaker. They will all be the Prime Minister's honoured guests at the G7. We certainly wouldn't want human rights to get in the way of good business opportunities. That's the new Liberal government for you. Will the Prime Minister see reason and cancel these terrible invitations immediately?
The
Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Monsieur le Président,
Mr. Speaker, the world is facing an international security crisis. We must never forget that our sovereignty and our security and our prosperity are linked closely to general global stability. Canada believes in cooperation, and the G7 is an essential forum, Mr. Speaker, which allows leaders from around the world to have productive and frank discussions. Mr. Speaker, security, stability, and protection are necessary for Canadians. At the same time, we need to have these conversations. The Honourable Member for Lac-Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, to those fleeing persecution, terror, and war, wrote Justin Trudeau, welcome to Canada. We all remember the fiasco that tweet caused and the impact that it had on our ability to welcome people to Canada. Nevertheless, Justin Trudeau wanted to welcome the persecuted, and now the new Prime Minister has chosen to welcome the persecutors. Mr. Speaker, are there any Liberals on the other side who will speak to their leader, the Prime Minister, and ask him to cancel his invitations to Modi, Ben Salman and Ben Zayed? Or do we have to understand that for the Liberals right now, human rights, well, they've just been thrown out the door? The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Speaker, as I've already said, the G7 is an important forum for international discussions with international leaders. At the same time, we have to have the necessary conversations around security and around the protection of our citizens, of Canadians. That is our absolute priority, Mr. Speaker. And we will act. We will protect Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Kamloops Thompson-Nicola.
Mr. Speaker, there are questions on the Public Safety Minister's recent recusals. Was the Ethics Commissioner consulted prior to the Public Safety Minister setting up an internal conflict screen? And can the Prime Minister explain to this House why the Minister has recused himself?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, in all national security decisions, my utmost concern is that of the safety of Canadians. I will support law enforcement and national security agencies who do their work impartially and effectively. In an abundance of caution and to ensure that there is no perception of any conflict, I've asked the public safety officials to implement a screen on national security issues relating to the Tamil community.
The Honourable Member for Kamloops Thompson-Nicola.
Mr. Speaker, in British Columbia, an offender was recently sentenced to house arrest for possessing child sexual abuse and exploitation material. Mr. Speaker, the victims of such deplorable materials are living a psychological life sentence. Now, who do I blame for this? Not the judge, not the prosecutor, not the defense lawyer. I blame weak Liberal laws that allow people like this to serve their sentence on the couch. Will this Public Safety Minister recognize this injustice and stop allowing house arrest for people who watch sexual abuse of children?
The Honourable Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
Mr. Speaker, let me condemn in the harshest possible terms sexual crimes committed against children. As a former prosecutor, I'm sure my honourable colleague would know that the law on the books today actually holds a mandatory minimum penalty of 1 year imprisonment for these types of heinous crimes. Mr. Speaker, I hope that this does not become a bipartisan issue. We want to work together to implement reforms not only to punish heinous crimes, but to prevent these harms from becoming a lifetime problem for vulnerable children.
The Honourable Member for Okanagan Lake West, South Kelowna.
Mr. Speaker, despite having world-class shipbuilders like Seaspan in Vancouver, BC Ferries has chosen a Chinese state-owned enterprise to build 4 new ships, even though the Prime Minister has declared China the biggest security threat to Canada. Meanwhile, the Liberals are providing BC Ferries with $36 million with no conditions to protect Canadian workers. Will the minister grow a spine of Canadian-manufactured steel and make Canadian jobs a requirement for this funding, or will she side with Premier Eby in selling out our ship and steel building industries?
The Honourable Minister of Transport and Internal Trade.
Mr. Speaker, our government will always side with Canadian workers, particularly our steel and aluminum sectors that are being battered right now. I was disappointed and concerned when I learned of this procurement, particularly at this moment when Canadian workers need our support. BC Ferries is entirely under provincial jurisdiction. The support BC Ferries receives from Transport Canada is entirely for operations and there is no capital expenditure.
The Honourable Member for Cowichan, Malahat, Langford.
Mr. Speaker, what a great non-answer. Look, yesterday, the Minister of Transport refused to act on my concern over BC Ferries buying 4 ships from a Chinese state-owned shipyard and used the excuse that it was not a federal project, which was not the question that I asked. The Liberals should be supporting Canadian shipyards and our economy instead of supporting CCP-owned shipyards and their economy. So again, I ask, will the Liberals attach the obvious condition of buying Canadian-built ships in order for BC Ferries to get their over $30 million Liberal subsidy?
The Honourable Minister of Transport.
Mr. Speaker, I absolutely agree we need to be supporting Canadian shipbuilders. That's why we have a national shipbuilding strategy. I absolutely agree we need to be supporting Canadian steel and aluminum workers. And further, I agree that we need to be alive to national security challenges and bear those in mind when it comes to procurement. I have spoken to my BC counterpart about this issue, and I would underscore BC Ferries is entirely under provincial jurisdiction. I do not think any BC MPs would challenge federal support for operations of ferries.
The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, we've learned that Canadian production of critical minerals could fall by almost 60% by 2040. It's not very surprising, as mining projects under the Liberals take forever to develop. However, we have exceptional geological potential in the Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, including phosphate. Since 2018, we have been working to have it added to the list of critical minerals. Mr. Speaker, why are the Liberals incapable of extracting our natural resources?
Of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, mining is crucial to our economy, and Canada is facing American tariffs. We must support our mining workers. That's why we will speed up permitting of new mines by cutting red tape and approving projects within 2 years. This will create jobs for Canadians, grow our economy, and provide more opportunity for mining workers in our country. We hope our members across the aisle will support the One Canadian Act.
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg South.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our government has introduced the One Economy Act, which aims to help advance major projects through the regulatory process. We have seen Indigenous people across Canada strongly assert the requirement for consultation before major projects are approved. Can the Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations tell us about how consultations will happen under the new Act?
The Honourable Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill requires meaningful consultation with Indigenous peoples, consistent with Section 35 of the Constitution and the duty to consult. It requires it during both the process of determining which projects are in the national interest and, most importantly, once a project is selected during the permitting process. Both steps require our Indigenous partners. I look forward to continuing to engage with partners to ensure the success of this legislation and the involvement of Indigenous peoples in moving our economy forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Centre.
Mr. Speaker, the average Canadian family is going to spend $800 more on food this year because of Liberal inflationary spending. The Calgary Food Bank says that 65% of working Calgarians are now experiencing severe food insecurity. What affects this, of course, is bad government budgeting. Deficits lead to inflation, and this government plans to spend 8% more this coming year. The Liberals want to go on a spending spree and force Canadians onto a diet. Will the Prime Minister set the table and finally serve up this year's budget?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Well, Mr. Speaker, good news for Canadians. Over 22 million Canadians are going to receive a tax cut thanks to the work of this Parliament. And further good news, Mr. Speaker, in the last elections, Canadians coast to coast to coast said the kinds of measures that are helping them, like affordable childcare, like the Canada Child Benefit that's indexed to inflation, like the National Food Program, like the Canada Disability Benefit that will be available next month. These are the kinds of things that are making a difference for Canadians, and we just hope the Conservatives will stop voting against them.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Centre.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the Liberals are delaying tabling a budget as it's expected to show a supersized deficit, which will increase inflation even further. The higher the deficits, the higher the inflation. The prices Canadians pay for food is dependent upon this government's budget. But don't worry, the government's budgets only affect Canadians who eat. Will the government stop driving up costs and bring forward a budget so Canadians can feed their families without going further into debt?
Good question. The Honourable Secretary of State for the Canada Revenue Agency.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let's look at some economic facts. Inflation has dropped from 8.1 to 1.7% over the last 2 years. Our real GDP numbers are growing. We've had workforce participation at 65.3% versus 62.5% compared to the USA. We have a AAA Moody's credit rating. Mr. Speaker, the fundamentals of our economy are very strong. We have a strong mandate from Canadians, and we're going to continue to work together across the aisle to get things done for Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Oshawa.
Mr. Speaker, yes, let's look at some actual facts. Stats Can reports that for every dollar of disposable income, Canadians now owe $1.74, the worst debt ratio in the G7. Oshawa's unemployment is at 9.1%, and the TD Bank warns of a looming recession with 100,000 jobs at risk. This government's response is to blow through $500 billion with no budget, no plan, and no accountability. Will the Liberals finally table a budget, or will their silence continue to speak louder than their commitment to Canadians?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I think we all know who brought it home in the last election. It was every member on this side of the House. Why did Canadians vote for this Liberal government? Because they know we're compassionate and we care about the affordability challenges that they're facing. We have a plan to create good jobs, build a stronger economy, and make life more affordable. What do Conservatives have? None of the above. They have complaints, anger, and an absent leader, and divisive rhetoric. We're delivering for Canadians and making Canada strong.
The Honourable Member for Kitchener Centre.
In yesterday's Waterloo Regional Record, Ontario businesses are freezing summer hiring. Unemployment in the region is up...
Sorry, I can't hear the question, so we'll start from the top.
In yesterday's Waterloo Regional Record, Ontario businesses are freezing summer hiring. Unemployment in the region is up 7.3%, and TD Bank says there's a looming recession with job losses of 100,000 jobs, causing local businesses to focus on staying lean. Nearly one-third of Canadian small businesses have adjusted or paused their summer hiring plans, according to a survey by Merchant Growth. Kitchener businesses need a plan. A budget is a plan. Why does this government refuse to heed our calls and table a budget that reverses their inflationary spending?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, good news for Canadian youth this summer. In addition to the 70,000 Canada summer jobs, we're adding 6,000 more, Mr. Speaker, all across the country. We know this is an emergency valve, Mr. Speaker, for
youth unemployment, that is indeed rising. But, Mr. Speaker, what won't help is votes against the measures that Canadians are looking for this summer. Mr. Speaker, what we know is that Canadians vote every single time there's an opportunity to help the constituents in their riding. We won't do that, Mr. Speaker. We'll stand up for Canadian families.
The honourable member for Mission, Matsqui, Abbotsford.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Small businesses fought for 5 years to receive the carbon tax rebate. Now that the money has been dispersed to small businesses across Canada, they are seeking clarification as to whether or not the Canada Revenue Agency will treat it as a taxable benefit. Can the Government of Canada clarify today, yes or no, are carbon tax rebates taxable?
Good question.
The Honourable Minister of Women and Gender Equality.
Mr. Speaker, as we know, small businesses are the backbone of our Canadian economy, and our new government has their back. We're cutting taxes for small businesses and red tape. We're breaking down interprovincial trade barriers by July 1st and helping businesses go digital. We also welcome our middle-class tax cut, which will help entrepreneurs get well-deserved tax break while they can. And, Mr. Speaker, we will always be there for small businesses. And let's forget that we have also cut the carbon tax for small business as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Swift Current, Grasslands, Kindersley.
Mr. Speaker, Saskatchewan is responsible for over 1/5 of the world's canola exports, and China being one of the largest buyers. The communist regime in Beijing implemented 100% tariffs on canola oil and meal, and has been radio silence from the Prime Minister. Farmers plan their crop rotations years in advance and have had to ride out this trade war all on their own. Will the Prime Minister prioritize our farmers for once and end China's tariffs on our canola, or is he too compromised from Brookfield's $250 million loan from a Chinese bank?
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food.
Well, it's a little over 3 weeks, Mr. Speaker, and I'm finally getting to my feet. First and foremost, I want to thank the people of Malpeque for putting me here, and my wife and my family. Mr. Speaker, it's immensely important for us. Mr. Speaker, I'll be traveling to the Prairie Provinces this weekend to meet with farmers to see firsthand the effect of the canola tariffs. But I will say this, Mr. Speaker, we've had the International Trade Minister meeting with officials and the Prime Minister. We're moving in the right direction, and we always stand up for farmers.
The honourable member for Souris Moose Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, farmers in Souris Moose Mountain and across the prairies are being crushed by 100% crippling tariffs on canola. The Liberal government, they've done nothing. These unjust tariffs are jeopardizing family farms, threatening livelihoods, and undermining the backbone of our agricultural economy. While producers urgently seek leadership and support, the Liberals remain silent. When will the Liberals take real concrete action to eliminate these punitive tariffs on Canadian canola and for once stand up for Canadian farmers?
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It gives me the opportunity to talk about how important farming is in this country, Mr. Speaker. 1 in 9 jobs, Mr. Speaker, related to farming. 6.75% of our GDP related to farming. Mr. Speaker, I've spoken to every First Minister across this country, and one thing that is in common, we're united in our front against these tariffs, and we will stay that way, Mr. Speaker, because it's going to benefit everybody.
The honourable member for Hamilton East Stony Creek.
Mr. Speaker, just days after the minister's promise-filled visit to ArcelorMittal this past weekend in Hamilton, they have announced a closure to their long wire mill, resulting in a loss of 153 mortgage-paying jobs in my community. Yesterday, I spoke to a concerned father whose daughter, Amanda, lost her job to the mill closure. Her father stated that the Prime Minister promised tariff relief on TV. Mr. Speaker, when will Amanda get her tariff relief?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the question. These illegal and unjustified tariffs, we're fighting them every day, and they're hurting workers on both sides of the border. Canadian workers, Canadian companies, this government will not be bullied. We're going to fight against these tariffs. Every job, defending every job, every business in the Hamilton, in the Sioux, and across Canada.
The Honourable Member for Hamilton East Stony Creek.
Mr. Speaker, I cannot take that answer to the hard workers of Hamilton. This closure is not just a local story. It is a warning sign to all working Canadians in this country. The Prime Minister promised elbows up with the United States and to collect $20 billion. All we've seen is elbows down. I ask this question on behalf of the workers of Hamiltonian's Industrial Corridor and Canadians. Mr. Speaker, to the Prime Minister, is this the end of closures or just the beginning?
L'honorable secrétaire parlementaire.
Monsieur le Président, je vous rappelle.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to remind everyone that these tariffs were imposed by the United States. These are American tariffs that were imposed on products. Our government is here to support workers, companies, so we can weather the storm. And we're looking forward to everyone's collaboration to weather the storm. Thank you very much. The Honourable Member for Alfred Pélan. Mr. Speaker, our new government was elected to implement a strong vision for nature conservation, both on land and in the water, as well as improved access for Canadians. Can the Secretary of State for Nature inform this House of our upcoming actions to protect nature in Canada? The Honourable Secretary of State for Nature. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That's one way.
Thank my colleague from Alfred Pélan for his excellent question. I would also like to take a moment, as I rise for the first time in this House, to thank all the constituents of the wonderful riding of Châteauguay-les-Jardins de Napierville for their trust. Nature is a fundamental part of our Canadian identity. It unites us, and irrespective of their political stripe, all Canadians love nature. Our new government will work with provinces, territories, Indigenous peoples, and all stakeholders to protect nature. That's what a strong, united Canada looks like.
For Lethbridge.
Mr. Speaker, in the last Parliament, these Liberals forced through one piece of censorship legislation after another. Bill C-18, which of course stops the spread of news on social media outlets. Bill C-11, which controls what Canadians can see and say online. And then came Bill C-63, which is bloated censorship legislation, which actually brought in an internet czar and controls freedom of speech. The Liberals claim that this is a, quote, new government, so my curiosity is this. Whoever is in charge over there, of course, will they commit to respecting Canadians and, of course, stop censoring them?
L'honorable ministre de l'Identité.
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, for decades we've witnessed journalists losing their jobs, newsrooms shutting down, and local media going bankrupt. Access to fact-based information from coast to coast to coast is essential to keep Canadians informed. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, my Conservative colleague did not believe that preserving this pillar of our democracy is important. On our side, we chose to pass the Online News Act to ensure that journalists can continue their important work for our country, for our democracy, for our Canadian unity.
The Honourable Member for Lethbridge.
So what I'm hearing is that this is the same old government, absolutely hell-bent on continuing to censor what Canadians can see and say online. My question is with regards to Bill C-63 and going forward. You see, C-63 doesn't just target predators, it targets opinions, it targets freedom of thought, it targets discourse within the online sphere. It institutes thought police, for crying out loud. It's a Trojan horse for further government control. So I ask again, in any future legislation going forward, will this Liberal government commit to respecting Canadians and making sure that they do not censor them?
L'honorable ministre de...
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, just about everything that the member said in her intervention is wrong. Bill C-11 ensures that Canadian artists get rewarded, as they should, by online platforms, Mr. Speaker. Bill C-11 makes sure that Canadian content can be discovered by Canadians, by my kids, by all of our kids, instead of just international artists, Mr. Speaker. That's exactly what what Bill C-11 does. It gives the opportunity for Canadians to discover Canadian artists, something we should all support, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Elgin, St. Thomas, London South.
Mr. Speaker, baseless smears like that are why these Liberals can't be trusted to regulate speech in this country. For years, this Liberal government has determined to censor what Canadians see and say online. From Bill C-11, which put the Liberals in control of YouTube algorithms, to Bill C-18, which squeezed out small and independent media, and to their thought crime Bill C-63. Now we learn in the National Post that cabinet ministers over there are all clamoring over who gets to be responsible for the latest online censorship law. So will the minister who gets to censor what Canadians say please reveal themselves now?
The Honourable Minister.
Even Google agreed that they should do this. Google will pay $100 million to help Canadian journalism in this country. An international US-based company would agree to do that, but the Conservative Party of Canada would vote against this, would prevent that from happening, would want to prevent our media from getting $100 million so that there's more local content, more journalists hired in our newsroom across the country. It is simply unthinkable. It is immoral, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, and then you got companies like Meta that say, no, we'll just ban all news on their platforms that's Canadian.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Fentanyl has torn through communities and ripped families apart throughout various areas of Canada. Our government was given a strong mandate to keep all Canadians safe. Can the Minister of Public Safety update the House on the recent law enforcement seizures which are keeping drugs off the streets of Canada?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, allow me to thank my honourable colleague from Humber River Black Creek for her question and for her hard work. Every member of this House knows someone impacted by the fentanyl crisis. Earlier this week, the Ontario Provincial Police announced 2 operations that seized 43.5 kilograms of fentanyl, the largest ever fentanyl seizure in its history. Through the Strong Borders Act, we will ensure that police across the country have the tools needed to replicate the success of these operations. We will always be there, Mr. Speaker, to keep Canadians protected.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-l'Érable, L'Aude-Binière.
Ils attendent qu'on décède pour...
They're waiting for us to die before they give us our money. The issue, Mr. Speaker, is that the government disbursed $70 million to manage a problem. Since 2019, the company only reimbursed 16 victims, rejected hundreds of requests, like Mr. Notte. When will EPIC be fired and a reimbursement be made so the money can go directly in the pocket of victims in Thetford mines and not in the pockets of consultants and lawyers? The Honourable Minister for Health. Mr. Speaker, first of all, no. And we know what all the victims have gone through. I will go back to my colleague's question later because I don't have an answer right now.
The Honourable Member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Speaker, during the last election, the Prime Minister said the old relationship we had with the United States based on deepening integration of our economies and military cooperation is over. But yesterday, a leaked document reveals his government is willing to participate in Donald Trump's Golden Dome missile defense system. Former Liberal Foreign Affairs Minister Lloyd Axworthy called this a betrayal of the vision Canadians voted for. Why is the Prime Minister deepening military integration with an unstable partner when we should be pivoting away?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister of National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, for 75 years, our government's has been an essential partner in strengthening NORAD, the only binational command in the world. We know that we live in a more dangerous world. That's why this new government has undertaken a wide array of discussions with the United States about a new security and economic relationship that benefits both of our sovereign nations. For example, the Prime Minister recently made a $6 billion new investment in an Arctic over-the-horizon radar system. We're actively strengthening, Mr. Speaker, Canada's presence in the continent, and we will build our country's national defence capabilities of all kinds.
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg Centre.
Mr. Speaker, Bill C-5 violates constitutional obligations, eradicates environmental protections, compromises workers' health and safety, and fails to hold corporations accountable in cases where violence is inflicted on Indigenous women and girls, a call to justice from the National Inquiry. Mr. Speaker, we thought Pierre Poilievre lost his seat, but it seems like he's leading the Liberal Party. Maybe that's why, Mr. Speaker. Is that why the government is trying to fast-track Bill C-5?
The Honourable Minister of Transport.
Mr. Speaker, we all know that Canada is facing a critical moment. We all know our country is being battered by U.S. tariffs. Last week, I was in Saskatoon, and around the table were premiers, NDP premiers, Conservative premiers, Liberal premiers. They all understood now is the time to build Canada, to tear down barriers to trade between ourselves. I really hope all members of this House will recognize the urgency of the moment and support this essential legislation.
And that concludes question period for today. It being 3:09, the House will now proceed to the taking of the deferred recorded division on the motion at the second reading stage of Bill C-4. Call in the members. Thank you.
This is the small, tiny tax cut, if I'm not mistaken. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, there was some good speeches this morning. As they had an emergency debate on GC strategies. So I put a clip out on the channel already from MP Brock's speech, but I'm gonna go back and clip. Garnet Genuis had a pretty good speech. Michael Barrett had a pretty good speech, so I'm going to go ahead and put those on the channel. There was also a BT News interview with Scheer yesterday morning that I want to go ahead and put on the channel as well. So a couple things will come out on the channel that, you guys haven't seen. Which bill? It's the Making Life More Affordable for Canadians bill, or whatever they named it. It's basically the small, tiny 1% tax cut and stuff. So we'll go ahead and watch this for a little bit, and then we'll tune out.
The question is as follows. Mr. Champagne, seconded by Mr.
C4, yes.
Ananda Sangari, moved that Bill C-4, an act respecting certain affordability measures for Canadians, and another measure be now read a second time and referred to the Standing Committee on Finance. La période de 10 minutes pour les députés.
The 10-minute period.
We don't even have the Finance Committee yet.
And the House will now proceed to the vote for members participating in person. All those in favor of the motion will please rise.
Mr. McKinnon-Gatineau.
Mr. McKinnon-Gatineau.
Mr. Ali.
Mr. Ali.
Madame Diab.
Madame Diab.
Mr. McDonald-Malpeck.
Mr. McDonald-Malpeck.
Mr. McGuinty.
Mr. McGuinty.
Mr. Lightbound.
Mr. Lightbound.
Mr. Robertson.
Mr. Robertson.
Ms. Freeland.
Ms. Freeland.
Mr. Hodgson.
Mr. Hodgson.
Ms. Thompson.
Ms. Thompson.
Mr. Ananda Sangari.
Mr. Ananda Sangari.
Ms. Haidu.
Ms. Haidu.
Madame Michel.
Madame Michel.
Mr. Guilbeault.
Mr. Guilbeault.
Mr. Fraser.
Mr. Fraser.
Mrs. Valdez.
Mrs. Valdez.
Mr. Hussain.
Mr. Hussain.
Madame Petitpas-Taylor.
Madame Petitpas-Taylor.
Ms. Fry.
Ms. Fry.
Ms. Chager.
Ms. Chager.
Mr. Osborne.
Mr. Osborne.
Mr. Fragascatos.
Mr. Fragascatos.
Mr. Fuhr.
Mr. Fuhr.
Madame Provost.
Madame Provost.
Mr. Belanger, Desnethe, Mississippi, Churchill River.
Mr. Belanger, Desnethe, Mississippi, Churchill River.
Ms. McKnight.
Ms. McKnight.
Ms. Chartrand.
Ms. Chartrand.
Mr. Gerritsen.
Mr. Gerritsen.
Ms. Anand.
Ms. Anand.
Ms. Alti.
Ms. Alti.
Ms. Gulmasti.
Ms. Gulmasti.
Mr. Sarai.
Mr. Sarai.
Ms. McLean Esquimalt Sandwich Soup.
Ms. McLean, Esquimalt Sandwich Soup.
Mr. Long.
Mr. Long.
Mr. Zaricelli.
Mr. Zaricelli.
Madame Chanette.
Madame Chanette.
Ms. Latanzio.
Ms. Latanzio.
Mr. Nakvi.
Mr. Nakvi.
Madame Minard.
Madame Minard.
Mr. Miller.
Mr. Miller.
Ms. Jazik.
Ms. Jazik.
Ms. Scrow.
Ms. Scrow.
Mr. Duguid.
Mr. Duguid.
Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Fisher.
Madame Chattel.
Madame Chattel.
Mrs. Romanato.
Mrs. Romanato.
Mr. Kellaway.
Mr. Kellaway.
Mr. Lewis Kitchener-Conestoga.
Mr. Lewis Kitchener-Conestoga.
Mr. Assassi.
Mr. Assassi.
Mr. Lateo.
Mr. Lateo.
Mr. Bardizi.
Mr. Bardizi.
Madame Kayabaga.
Madame Kayabaga.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant.
Monsieur Gay.
Monsieur Gay.
Mr. Hogan.
Mr. Hogan.
Mr. Ramsey.
Monsieur Ramsey.
Madame Koutrakis.
Madame Koutrakis.
Ms. Chi.
Miss Chi.
Mr. Miles.
Mr. Miles.
Mr. Chen.
Mr. Chen.
Ms. Dillon.
Ms. Dillon.
Ms. Zerowitz.
Ms. Zerowitz.
Mr. El Khoury.
Mr. El Khoury.
Mr. Fergus.
Mr. Fergus.
Mr. Fonseca.
Mr. Fonseca.
Madame Desrochers.
Madame Desrochers.
Mrs. McKelvey.
Mrs. McKelvey.
Mr. Gasparo.
Mr. Gasparo.
Mr. Hanley.
Mr. Hanley.
Madame Rochefort.
Madame Rochefort.
Mr. Casey.
Mr. Casey.
Mr. Blois.
Mr. Blois.
Madame Bendayan.
Madame Bendayan.
Madame Fortier.
Madame Fortier.
Mr. Oliphant.
Mr. Oliphant.
Mr. Baptiste.
Mr. Baptiste.
Mr. Clausen.
Mr. Clausen.
Madame Lavac.
Madame Lavac.
Mr. Turnbull.
Mr. Turnbull.
Ms. Church.
Ms. Church.
Mr. McKinnon Coquitlam Port Coquitlam.
Mr. McKinnon Coquitlam Port Coquitlam.
Mr. Morrissey.
Mr. Morrissey.
Mr. Sheehan.
Mr. Sheehan.
Ms. Cedar Brampton South.
Ms. Cedar Brampton South.
Ms. Vandenbeld.
Ms. Vandenbeld.
Mrs. Zaid.
Mrs. Zaid.
Ms. Yip.
Ms. Yip.
Madame Lalonde.
Madame Lalonde.
Mr. Pulowski.
Mr. Pulowski.
Mr. Weiler.
Mr. Weiler.
Mr. Zuberi.
Mr. Zuberi.
Mr. Eolfson.
Mr. Eolfson.
Madame Lapointe, Rivière de Mille-Îles.
Madame Lapointe, Rivière de Mille-Îles.
Ms. Hefner.
Ms. Hefner.
Madame Lapointe, Sudbury.
Madame Lapointe, Sudbury.
Mr. Souza.
Mr. Souza.
Ms. Akan.
Ms. Akan.
Mr. Al Saoud.
Mr. Al Saoud.
Madame Auguste.
Madame Auguste.
Mr. Chang.
Mr. Chang.
Mr. Clark.
Mr. Clark.
Mr. Connors.
Mr. Connors.
Madame Dandurand.
Madame Dandurand.
Mr. Danko.
Mr. Danko.
Monsieur Deschaines Thériault.
Monsieur Deschaines Thériault.
Ms. Fancy.
Ms. Fancy.
Mr. Fanjoy.
Mr. Fanjoy.
Mr. Greaves.
Mr. Greaves.
Ms. Harrison.
Ms. Harrison.
Ms. Hurdle.
Ms. Hurdle.
Mr. Joseph.
Monsieur Joseph.
Mr. McDonald Cardigan.
Mr. McDonald Cardigan.
Mr. Millette Bay of Quinty.
Mr. Millette Bay of Quinty.
Ms. Miedema.
Ms. Miedema.
Madame Mingarelli.
Madame Mingarelli.
Ms. Nathan.
Ms. Nathan.
Ms. Wien.
Ms. Wien.
Mr. Tumba.
Monsieur Tumba.
Ms. O'Rourke.
Ms. O'Rourke.
Mr. Rana.
Mr. Rana.
Ms. Royer.
Ms. Royer.
Mr. Saini.
Mr. Saini.
Mr. Sari.
Mr. Sari.
Mr. Sawatsky.
Mr. Sawatsky.
Ms. Sodi.
Ms. Sodi.
Mr. St. Pierre.
Mr. St. Pierre.
Ms. Tesser Dirksen.
Ms. Tesser Dirksen.
Mr. Villeneuve.
Monsieur Villeneuve.
Mr. Watchhorn.
Monsieur Watchhorn.
Mr. Doherty.
Mr. Doherty.
Mr. Schmale.
Mr. Schmale.
Mr. Brock.
Mr. Brock.
Mr. Deltel.
Mr. Deltel.
Mr. Paulus.
Mr. Paulus.
Ms. Lewis Haldeman Norfolk.
Ms. Lewis Haldeman Norfolk.
Mr. Chong.
Mr. Chong.
Mrs. Kuzi.
Mrs. Kuzi.
Mrs. Stubbs.
Mrs. Stubbs.
Mr. Barlow.
Mr. Barlow.
Mr. Seaback.
Mr. Seaback.
Mr. Albus.
Mr. Albus.
Mr. D'Entremont.
Monsieur D'Entremont.
Mr. Small.
Mr. Small.
Mr. Zimmer.
Mr. Zimmer.
Mr. Jennis.
Mr. Jennis.
Mr. Brassard.
Mr. Brassard.
Mr. Moore.
Mr. Moore.
Mr. Berthold.
Mr. Berthold.
Mr. Workington.
Mr. Workington.
Mrs. Cramp-Nyman.
Mrs. Cramp-Nyman.
Mrs. Roberts.
Mrs. Roberts.
Mr. Morin.
Mr. Morin.
Mr. Ross.
Mr. Ross.
Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Caputo.
Mr. Caputo.
Mr. Van Popta.
Mr. Van Popta.
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Généreux.
Mr. Généreux.
Mr. Mallette, Kapuskasing, Timmins, Mushkegawak.
Monsieur Mallet, Kapuskasing, Timmins, Mushkegawak.
Mr. Lefebvre.
Monsieur Lefebvre.
Mr. Viss.
Mr. Viss.
Mr. Lobb.
Mr. Lobb.
Mr. Baldinelli.
Mr. Baldinelli.
Mr. Davidson.
Mr. Davidson.
Miss Gladue.
Miss Gladue.
Mr. Calkins.
Mr. Calkins.
Mr. Lawrence.
Mr. Lawrence.
Mr. Bragdon.
Mr. Bragdon.
Mr. Tucker.
Mr. Tucker.
Ms. Rude.
Ms. Rude.
Mr. Malillo.
Mr. Malillo.
Mr. Muse.
Mr. Muse.
Mr. Tolmie.
Mr. Tolmie.
Mr. Redicott.
Mr. Redicott.
Mr. Arnold.
Mr. Arnold.
Mrs. Gallant.
Mrs. Gallant.
Mr. Reed.
Mr. Reed.
Mr. Menegakis.
Mr. Menegakis.
Mr. Abultaif.
Mr. Abultaif.
Mr. Diot.
Mr. Diot.
Mr. McCulley.
Mr. McCulley.
Mrs. Wagenthal.
Mrs. Wagenthal.
Mr. Motts.
Mr. Motts.
Mr. Dalton.
Mr. Dalton.
Mr. Cram.
Mr. Cram.
Mr. Lewis Essex.
Mr. Lewis Essex.
Mr. McLean Calgary Centre.
Mr. McLean Calgary Centre.
Mr. Patzer.
Mr. Patzer.
Mr. Leslie.
Mr. Leslie.
Mr. Giovanni.
Mr. Giovanni.
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
Mrs. Anstey.
Mrs. Anstey.
Mr. Owl.
Mr. Owl.
Mr. Babber.
Mr. Babber.
Mr. Bailey.
Mr. Bailey.
Mr. Belanger, Sudbury S, Manitoulin, Nickelbelt.
Mr. Belanger, Sudbury S, Manitoulin, Nickelbelt.
Mr. Bexty.
Mr. Bexty.
Mr. Bonk.
Mr. Bonk.
Mrs. Borelli.
Mrs. Borelli.
Mrs. Cody.
Mrs. Cody.
Mr. Davies, Niagara South.
Mr. Davies, Niagara South.
Mr. Dawson.
Mr. Dawson.
Mrs. DeRitter.
Mrs. DeRitter.
Mr. Gill, Calgary Skyview.
Mr. Gill, Calgary Skyview.
Mr. Gill, Brampton West.
Mr. Gill, Brampton West.
Mr. Gill, Calgary McKnight.
Mr. Gill, Calgary McKnight.
Mr. Gill, Windsor West.
Mr. Gill, Windsor West.
Mr. Gill, Abbotsford, South Langley.
Mr. Gill, Abbotsford, South Langley.
Monsieur Groslo.
Monsieur Groslo.
Mr. Kimmich.
Mr. Kimmich.
Mr. Guglielmin.
Mr. Guglielmin.
Mr. Gunn.
Mr. Gunn.
Mr. Hardy.
Mr. Hardy.
Mr. Ho.
Mr. Ho.
Mr. Holman.
Mr. Holman.
Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Kibble.
Mr. Kibble.
Mrs. Conan.
Mrs. Conan.
Ms. Cronus.
Miss Cronus.
Mr. Kirk, Hamilton East, Stony Creek.
Mr. Kirk, Hamilton East, Stony Creek.
Mr. Lawton.
Mr. Lawton.
Mr. Ma.
Mr. Ma.
Mr. Mantle.
Mr. Mantle.
Mr. McKenzie.
Mr. McKenzie.
Mr. Reynolds.
Mr. Reynolds.
Mr. Rowe.
Mr. Rowe.
Mr. Stevenson.
Mr. Stevenson.
Mr. Strauss.
Mr. Strauss.
Monsieur Fortin.
Monsieur Fortin.
Monsieur Thériault.
Monsieur Thériault.
Monsieur Champoux.
Monsieur Champoux.
Monsieur Perron.
Monsieur Perron.
Monsieur Deschaines.
Monsieur Deschaines.
Madame Gill, Côte-Nord, Kawawashikamak, Nitassinan.
Madame Gill, Côte-Nord, Kawachimach, Nitsen.
Madame Larouche.
Madame Larouche.
Madame de Bellefeuille.
Madame de Bellefeuille.
Madame Godreau.
Madame Godreau.
Monsieur Beaulieu.
Monsieur Beaulieu.
Monsieur Barsalou-Duval.
Monsieur Barsalou-Duval.
Monsieur Blanchette-Jonca.
Monsieur Blanchette-Jonca.
Monsieur Lemire.
Monsieur Lemire.
Miss McPherson.
Miss McPherson.
Tous ceux qui s'opposent à la motion.
All those opposed to the motion will please say nay.
The House will now wait for the electronic voting period to end before resuming its proceedings.
Okay, so that was going to pass just like we thought. Cons already said they would support any tax cuts, so no surprise here. They did try to make an amendment, like I said earlier, but that didn't go through because they wanted to make the tax cut larger. Unfortunately, we didn't get that, but we're still getting at least some sort of a tax cut, which is absolutely nothing. It's so entirely small, it's hardly even measurable. But, I mean, it's still something, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, there's no committees later. We do usually do committees on this channel, just for anybody who's new, but the committees that happened today, one was in camera, and Board of Internal Economy is always a boring committee, so didn't cover that. It doesn't look like there's any projected committees for tomorrow or Monday, but I'm just waiting to see if tomorrow they start to actually form OGO, ethics committee, if they can form public accounts, if they can form the finance committee. I mean, they're supposed to be sending this C4 to finance committee. That's one of the things that they're voting on, is not only to implement it, but to have it go to committee for studying. And we don't even have the finance committee yet. So hopefully we get some more committees formed up. And if they can form up before the end of next week, and we get some conservative chairs, hopefully they'll be able to call some meetings during the summer. And that would force some work to be done, at least something to be done during the summer. I think maybe Liberals might try to delay some of the committees because they know there's going to be conservative chairs, and they know that conservatives typically call meetings during the summer. And Liberals don't like to work. And NDP, most MPs, it just seems to be the Conservatives that are fine to work during the summer. Maybe you can try to be a Conservative MP. I've thought about that, but it's that would be more of a question to the Conservative Party of Canada, as if they would allow me to, run underneath their flag, because you would need permission from the party to be an MP for that party. They will delay the committees. It's possible. Conservatives like to work for their paycheck. Yeah, exactly.
I wish to inform the House that the electronic.
It's also
voting period has
entertaining to
ended.
see Brock and Barrett
If members
and
were
Genuous
unable
and
to vote due
Kuzi
to
all in the
technical
committees there.
difficulties, the meeting
Dan Show's
will
another good
raise
MP
hand
in committees.
and the
I also
chair will
find, I know
recognize them.
Khalid's point of orders are really annoying, but she's entertaining because she kind of makes herself seem
The
uneducated.
table will
so.
now compile the results of the vote.
This vote's going to pass, then we're going to call it here.
I declare the motion carried.
Accordingly, the bill stands
Nobody
referred to
voted
the
in.
Standing Committee on Finance. Thursday questions.
Overwhelming yes, 335-0. See, at least Canadians can agree on something, and that's a tax cut.
Other appointments and activities.
But yeah, the House is going to clear out now, and you guys know Fridays we don't go live for question period because there's absolutely nobody that shows up in the House, maybe 3 people. Get in there, I'll vote for you. Yeah. Unfortunately, if you're not in the riding that I'd be running for, you wouldn't be able to. But I do appreciate that. I think my Smalls over there rubbing Brock's bald head. Did you see that? It's just rubbing his head. Weekly statement. We'll listen to this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. As you know, the Thursday statement is a very exciting time of the week. I have a question for the Government House Leader. First, I'd like to know what will be on the order of business tomorrow, and also what we will discuss next week, just before the summer break. I'd also like to know whether there will be any time before the session rises that Canadians will receive a budget. The Honourable Government House Leader. I'd like to reassure the colleague that this government will table a budget in the spring. All Canadians know that, though the Conservatives don't seem to be aware of it. It will be a great budget which invests in Canada's economy and which creates jobs from coast to coast to coast.
The Conservative Party's Opposition Day motion. In accordance with the order adopted by the House yesterday, we will have a 5th and final Committee of the Whole debate on the estimates later this evening for 2 hours. Tomorrow morning we will start the debate on Government Business Number 1, which establishes a process to adopt Bill C-5, an act to enact the Free Trade and Labour Mobility in Canada Act and the Building Canada Act. We will continue with this debate on Monday. Je voudrais également informer la Chambre que
I would also like to inform the House that next Wednesday will be the last supply day, or rather next Tuesday. And on Wednesday, we will resume study at second reading of Bill C-2 about border security between Canada and the United States. On Thursday, we will begin second reading of Bill C-3 to amend the Citizenship Act. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, there has been consultation between the parties, and if you seek it, you will find there's unanimous consent for the following motion, that notwithstanding Standing Order 28 or any other habitual normal use of the House, the 2026 calendar called Option G be tabled and that the House adopt the 2026 calendar.
Please say nay. Agreed. The House has heard the terms of the motion. All those opposed to the motion will please say nay. Carried. Je désire informer la...
Okay, so that's it for this. Like I said before, there was some good speeches this morning on the emergency debate for the Auditor General's recent reports. See, business of supply, that's what they're going to get back to, which is the GC strategies scandal. I already put out MP Brock's lengthy speech on the channel, but I'm going to go ahead and look back this morning and clip the parts of Barrett and Genuous, because they had really good speeches as well. So if you haven't seen those, check back on the channel shortly. Under the Stay Informed playlist, you'll see clips of Barrett and Genuous. But yeah, we're pretty much going to go ahead and tune out here. for me, it feels like a bit of deja vu. We've covered GC Strategies, Dalian, Cordix, all of them for like almost 2 years now. There's an extensive amount of videos on the channel in committees with, with the members being called, Christian Firth, his partner, the people from KPMG, the people from Dalian in committee, and just listening to their rhetoric and just like not admitting anything, and just basically the blame game was ridiculous. So I really don't want to listen to any more debate on GC Strategies. It's ridiculous. We know what's happened. We're not getting our money back, and it's just more of the same boondoggle. It just reminds me of SDTC, but SDTC makes like GC Strategies look like just hold my beer. Like it's, and SDTC has already started to hand out funds again. They've been doing it for months, so I really would like to see SDTC checked in committee. I'd like to see some people called back, whoever the new managing director is of SDTC and the minister. I'd like to have them called into a committee right away, and I'd like to study SDTC to make sure that there's not the same repeat of what happened last time, but that's just me. Anyway, that's it for my yapping. I will see you guys on Monday. Next week is the last week of the House before they go on break. And, yeah. So, hope everybody has a good rest of your day. Thanks, mods in the chat, for modding the chat, etc., showing up. And thanks, everybody, for watching, tuning in. And, yeah. See you guys.